Hello and welcome to a YML tutorial for Bukkit servers to configure the permissions files using Group Manager. Um, it's pretty much the same for other permissions plugins too, like permissions and those variants. But I think Group Manager is probably the best plugin at the moment for it. So when you run your server, the plugins I've got at the moment are Essentials, so I can show you some of the plugins, and Group Manager for the actual permissions. Once you run the server, it will then generate these two folders. At the moment, we're only interested in Group Manager because that's the actual plugins. The config file. I'll be editing all these files in Notepad++. So you can download that just by googling Notepad++. You can see the name there. But unless you're using multiple worlds, which you probably aren't if you're watching this tutorial, then you can leave this file alone. The next folder you want to go into is worlds. Now then there should be a folder called the name of your map world. I'll just go back. See, that's my map world. It's got all my map files. So when you go into Group Manager and go into worlds, I'll have a folder called world. If I call my map, then that folder will be called map instead. You should have two YML files. Um, One is called groups, one is called users. The users one you won't be touching anywhere near as much as the groups file. It should look pretty much like this. It might be in a different order, it might have a bit of commenting, but other than that, it should be exactly the same. That you can. This is just showing that it's starting the groups part of the file, the only part of the file. Then the default part, that this is the first user, the first type of user. It shows that it's default here with true, which means anyone who joins the server without and who isn't in the users file automatically gets these permissions. So in the permissions part, you have all the permissions. So this means the person will be able to spawn, like spawn and spawn again if they die, I think. Then the MOTD means they'll be able to see and use the message of the day command. Help means they'll be able to use the help command /help. And most usually what it is it's the name of the plugin dot the command. Sometimes it'll be different and it'll be in the forum thread what the permissions are. But all you need to do is, these are all spaces. This isn't a tab. Then a dash, then a space, and then the permissions, and then add it. And whatever is here, the person here can do. The inheritance allows you to, so say if I wanted the moderator to be able to do everything the default player could do, I'd just use inheritance default, and then anything in that the moderator can also do. That saves you writing out each one. Then there's the info. These are sort of optional. The prefix and the suffix you don't need to get into unless you're using something called like nchat or iChat. They basically allow you to make it so your names are colored, or you have like a name saying God next to your name, or mod, or semi-admin, or admin, or new. But you set them there. Build, unless you have a plugin installed, this won't make any difference. If you have the anti-build plugin installed and you set this to false, it means the person won't be able to break any blocks. So once you get past the suffix one, that's the end of that file, and then you need to go back to and set another name. This what the default file has moderator. As you can see, it's not the default. You can only get it if someone actually makes you it, or makes yourself it. And then permissions, they've also got essentials teleport to them, and then essentials item and essentials dot give. So that means that they can give items and teleport people around. And they also inherit stuff from the default class. The info bit's the same because you're not using any external plugins. The semi-admin, this means that they can demote people, they can promote people, and I think they can't do anything else with Group Manager. But other than that, they get everything. If you put a star, it means they get everything. You can use these pluses and minuses to add or take away from that everything, but other than that, it's everything. They also inherit all the plugins from moderator, and the info again is the same. Then admins, this will probably be the same for all of your admins. Basically, that they can just do everything. Asterisk or a star just means they can do absolutely anything. If you're familiar with code, you'll know that anyway. and then this is the same. So the only other file in that directory is users. There'll be a few users that you'll never have heard of. That's because it won't have been it won't have been touched by you. But these are the example users. So at the moment, the GM Kuto has no extra permissions, but he's in the group of semi-admin, which means he can do anything semi-admins can do. He also has the prefix that color. I'll go. If you put an and sign and then a letter, I think it's to F, or a number to 6 or 7, then it makes that person's name a color, and then they have the suffix semi-king. I'm not sure if you need a plugin for that because I've never used it in the users file. I usually just use it in the groups file. Then Anjo Kaido is an admin with no extra permissions, and they're his prefix and suffixes. And then Zenexa is a moderator, but he has an extra permission. He's allowed to use God mode, which means that he doesn't he doesn't feel damage. So if I just copy one of these and make it my username, just change that to disallowing, and then change the group to semi-admins. Is it spelled like that? Yeah. Yeah, no, semi-admin. And then change this to awesome and see if that makes any difference. And then get rid of that extra permission and add those two there. Right, so now if we run the server, run, should hopefully work. If this doesn't work at this point and it comes up with an error, it means you've done something wrong in your YML file, probably. But other than that, if I go to Minecraft, log in, multiplayer, I've changed the port so that I can run my normal server at the same time. It might lag a little because that's because I'm running two servers. But see now, it says welcome to Ewok because that's in the message of the day. And then I can type /help because I have that command. Let's test chat. Again, it might be a little laggy. Yeah, so it doesn't, because I don't have any chat plugins installed, it doesn't show that awesome suffix for me because that's what you need plugins to enable that. But I should be able to do man demote. Yeah, see, because if I hadn't been allowed to do it, it would have said you don't have permissions to use this command or something similar. But because I didn't, but the command did work, I just didn't add things. So I want to do dizzy walk, and then I want to demote them to moderator. See, so because that's my fault, but that's a protection from within Group Manager so that you can't like promote yourself to admin. But anyway, there will have been a black square. That's because I'm using Camtasia Studio and I'm recording the cursor. But other than that, that should help you get up. You don't need these examples, by the way. It's just so you can copy them. Other than that, that should let you get going with your server. You can add people, like you can promote and demote people if you're an admin. So if someone joins your server and you want them to be able to do something, you can go man demote, their name, and then semi-admin, say. You can name the classes whatever you want. So if I wanted, rather than being called semi-admin, I could call it like super moderator or something. But yeah, that's totally up to you. All the naming is up to you. It's just the permissions that have to be right. You don't really need to worry about the essentials config just yet because it's permissions that are the big thing. If you'd like to see more of these tutorials, please do subscribe. Other than that, goodbye.